If you love to fly solo, we've got a new aircraft to introduce you to right now. Interesting thing about aviation, there is always someone working on a new design somewhere around the globe. And I love discovering aircraft that not too many people are aware of. Enter in the Atec 212 Solo. All right, so back here at RT Aviation, there's all kinds of aircraft here, but we want to, again, showcase each one individually because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
So introduce yourself, what you do here, and we'll talk about this awesome, fun airplane behind us.
So I'm Robert Harris. I'm one of the co-owners of RT Aviation, and I'm actually one of our LSRMs, and basically our resident builder. So that's kind of how everything is. And we're standing in front of the Atec 212 Solo, which is...
So the other one that we captured here last time was SLSA, a light sport aircraft, which comes pretty much as an RTF ready to fly.
Correct.
You make it ready to fly.
Right.
This one's a little bit story. This is the only one that you offer that is actually still available as a kit.
Yeah, it's only brought in as a kit because the manufacturers kind of looked at this way that there's no way for them to do any type of transitional training or anything on it. So it's kind of buyer beware that you're going to build it and you're going to fly it, and it's kind of your baby. So that's they still only offer this one as a kit. It was their original model that they originally designed their wing off of. So whenever we talk about the amazing wing characteristics that the Atec airplanes have and the climb characteristics they have, and they really were born with the 212 Solo.
So this is new to me. The other aircraft that you have here is new to me as well, but this design has actually been around for over a decade?
Almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years. And this one here is actually flying in light sport rules as well. It's toned down to be an SLSA. We've got the prop pitched and everything to keep it within the speed restrictions, and it's always lived there. But I mean, for somebody that's building it as a strictly EAB, they're toting the ability to get up to around 135, 140 knots if you have it tuned out right. This one is dialed all the way back to that 120 rule to keep it strictly legal.
Awesome. Well, we grab the camera. We'll do a little walk around this.
Sounds great.
All right. So this one's really exciting because it's an EAB. I could build it if I wanted to. Let's talk first about what the construction methods are. Yeah.
So the cool thing about this airplane is that it is about 90% carbon fiber and about 10% wood. So this aircraft actually has a spruce spar for the wings and for the vertical tail stabilizer that's built in. And the reason for that is the original design that this aircraft, again, 30 years old, it had that spruce had a lot of flex in it. And we all know, the Howard Hughes Spruce Goose and how it was just a great lightweight wood that had that flexibility. Well, it's carried over still in aviation, and this aircraft has that spruce spar which allows it in rough air to still flex and kind of flap and give it a real comfortable ride, even though it's +6, -4, fully aerobatic if you want it to be so. So the interesting thing about this is this design actually shares the same design that has translated into the further Atec Fietta designs, where the wings can be taken on and off in about 10 minutes with 2 people. They basically have locking mechanisms that index the wings, they lock in, and then there's a carriage bolt which is covered up here by some speed tape that you can see right here, that there's a main bolt and 2 collars that go into the actual wing spar themselves, and they lock in and suck up the wing to where it locks in. But the fuel lines, the pedostatic, the electrical, everything is quick disconnects, even the push rods. You can take the wing on and off with 2 people, both wings in 10 minutes.
So this is kind of set up like a sailplane. You can trailer it to the airport if you want to.
Correct. And that was the original design. The original owner and Pieter, who actually designed this aircraft, him and his father, that's what they did. They would trailer it out to air shows and they would play around with it, and then they'd load it back up. And they would fly everywhere, because originally the aircraft came with a 2-stroke Rotex engine on it, not the 912 ULS engine that's on it now in this current design. So it's come a long way.
Well, it definitely has some very nice flowing lines to it, and I really like the shape of the wing. We talked off camera for a second that it kind of has the profile if I can catch the right angle of it, a bit of a Spitfire.
It does, it does. And I've showed you off camera the video of how it sounds. It's got a custom muffler that's designed by Atec that goes on the Rotex 912 ULS that gives it a real growl. It actually, you can hear it from miles away coming, and whenever you're on short final, it's still making a heck of a racket. This one is fully equipped with a smoke system, so it has that, that vibe to it too. We did a custom interior in it, custom vinyl wrap. The build time on one of these is only about 350 to 400 hours.
So I assume this is an extreme quick build.
It is.
Kit.
It is. And when the aircraft comes, essentially it comes out of the molds. If it needs something drilled, you got to drill it. If it needs to be sanded, you got to sand it. If it's got to be, you know, there's really no major build components. Everything like that can come, like the wheel pants, the cowls, they come as raw fiberglass that, you know, to help get you to that 51% to where you've got to build all those things. You've got to do your entire firewall forward, your entire avionics. But I mean, whenever you think about it, the wing is pretty much done when you get it. You know, you're not slapping together carbon fiber and doing any major composite work. It's all mostly major fit and finish and attachment points and things like that.
And you do the final sand and paint, obviously, yourself.
You do have to do the final sand and paint.
So being that this is EAB, you get the advanced quick build, extreme advanced quick build.
Right.
A set of plans or just an assembly manual? How does that come? What does it look like?
You kind of get both. You get a set of CAD drawings that tell you kind of how everything is laid out and designed. But then you also get a builder's manual that tells you step by step what you're supposed to do, nice pictures and things like that. We're working on a more advanced model of it right now because, again, this is imported from the Czech Republic. So it came in Czech that's been translated into English, and I'm working on a English version of the builder's log that I did for my build. That way, when somebody buys it here in the United States, it's going to have a much cleaner and more concise manual. Because again, some things are lost in translation. So.
Sure. Well, that's an extremely low build time.
Yes.
And that's the advantage of working with composites. Again, just as a matter of process, they kind of have to do the majority of the work for you.
Right. Yeah. So whenever it comes out of the mold, you know, like I said, they're making your spar for you, and they're having to inlay it into the carbon fiber. So whenever you get it, your wings are probably 60% done. You still have to do a lot of the, like I said, it's mainly fit and finish. Again, if anybody's ever done raw fiberglass like on cowls and, you know, wheel pants, it's not an easy task. It is labor intensive, but yeah, when you get other things that are coming out of the mold and some of them have a gel coat already on them, it's kind of a trade-off.
Dynon Avionics at Dynon.com, offering everything from state-of-the-art glass cockpit options to advanced control modules that power and control your entire aircraft. Gratia Aero Group at GratiaAero.com, proudly representing these best-in-class brands for experimental general aviation. Sherwings, BD Aviation, and MW Fly. KFA, Kitplanes for Africa, engineered for adventure and built for the bush is their motto, offering several STOL-kit aircraft options like the Expedition, Safari, Bush Baby, and Explorer. Find them online at kitplanesforafrica.co.za. Visit us online at experimentalaircraftchannel.com for all things DIY aviation. And consider supporting us on our Patreon page to help us bring you more original aviation content. Try it on for size here. Show us what it's like to get into this thing.
Yeah, so one of the things that you can get as an option, but you cannot retrofit it, is that if you want to have a parachute or rescue system in this aircraft, it does install in the back empennage area. This one, I did not get that option in it because I wanted to keep the weight low, but that part has to be built in whenever you're doing your inlay. Really and truly, it comes down to the blowout area here on the back part. They have to lay that in, the carbon fiber at the factory, in your mold process. This one did not have that. So this one, unlike the Atec Fietta, you do get into it from the back. And the fun thing about this aircraft is you basically wear it.
It's a Formula One with wings.
Yes. So
and you are how tall?
I am 6 foot.
Okay.
So at 6 foot tall with, you know, headset and with, you know, everything strapped in, it's still a pretty good still a pretty good amount of room in here. You can adjust the pedals and adjust the seat. It's kind of a running joke with our friends that have flown it. Only 3 other people have flown this aircraft, or 3 total. And I built it specifically for me. So whenever I got in and actually designed it, I kind of built it for my height and size. We are using a Falcon avionics system in this one. So we wanted to do something a little different with it whenever we did the installation. So we kind of partnered with Falcon to create, just something a little different. And it runs off an iPad-based system. It's their new version that they just came out with. It's a solid state system, so it's extremely stable. And I did want to put some backup analog gauges in here in case an iPad overheated, but I have not had any issues whatsoever for it. And again, translating up from the Atec Fietta design, really I guess you would say the Atec design followed this one. Everything is extremely ergonomic. So I don't know, whenever you get a chance to get the kind of the side panel over here view, everything is within your finger's reach. So when your hand is on your throttle, you can literally move your flap indicators by just using your wrist. So your trim is here with your thumb, and your flap can be done with the palm of your hand while you're still on the throttle. So everything is very much in the fingertip range.
This is very much a fighter pilot cockpit.
Yes, very much so. With the same,
you're just missing the HUDs.
Yeah, and actually I bought a HUD system for it, and I have it over there. Didn't install it whenever we put it together yet, but it actually has a little holographic HUD that I was going to put up here for kind of a running joke. Just haven't got around to doing it yet.
So with this current setup, obviously, well, this is EAB, so it's not under light sport rules, correct? Not in the United States.
Well, it is. You can fly it under light sport rules because it is limited to that. So just like a Tailorcraft or any certified aircraft, as long as it has entered into the space in that category, it can stay in that category. If I built it to do that 150 knots, 145 knots that it can be, then it can't ever come back.
Okay.
But if you build it for that and it stays in that range, then it locks into it.
I see.
So it's light sport eligible is what it is.
But being that 100 horsepower, super lightweight, what do you climb? And I assume you have this pitched for climb.
It's extremely pitched for climb right now to keep it in the speed requirements, and I'm climbing at about 2,400 feet per minute.
Wow.
Yeah, and she gets off the ground at about 115, 120 feet. And it's funny because I've had on numerous occasions when I've been flying this on extremely long runways like Laurel, Mississippi, that's 5,000 foot runway. I've had pilots actually key up and ask if I was going to take off because I tell them that I'm taking runway 33 and about to take off, and they're still sitting at the whole short line waiting, and I've climbed out above them and actually left the pattern, and they're like, "Where are you at?" And I'm like, "I'm already in pattern altitude and turning left downwind at midfield."
That's
so
awesome.
It's a climber.
And on the other end of the spectrum, with this really beautiful wing, what does it stall at?
She stalls at 28 knots dirty and 38 knots clean. She holds 18 gallons of fuel, which doesn't sound like a lot. It's 9 and 9, but that gets you about 4 hours of flight time out of the aircraft, which is more than enough for what it's designed to do. Unlike the Fietta that comes with all the bells and whistles, this is a utilitarian kind of setup, set up like a fighter plane. So after about 2 hours, you're ready to land and to be able to get down and actually use the bathroom or to stretch your bones, because she will rattle your bones.
It's like a sport bike.
Yes. So it's meant for you to go out and have fun in.
So just noticing that Duke seems to be very popular these days, especially on any European type of aircraft. And you got a 3-blade, looks to be pretty big. What size is this one?
I think it's 64 inch.
Okay, and can you still do wheel landings? Is there enough prop clearance to do a wheel landing?
Yep, do wheel landings almost exclusively on this thing. So I will say the biggest learning curve on this, because again, this is your baby whenever you take it off. There's no transitional training allowed.
There's nobody else in the cockpit with you.
No, so I would highly recommend that if anybody was going to transition to one of these, they wouldn't start out with something like a Tailorcraft or a Citabria or something for a tail wheel. They would need to probably start off with something more like an RV4 or something that's a little more spicy, a decathlon, something like that, something that's got a real short coupling that allows you, you have to have happy feet. It's extremely light. and it's extremely responsive on the ground. So if you're just playing around, you can do donuts on it on the ground just from taxiing around, just because it's got so much power on the front end, it's so light on the back end. And the trick is on landings, get it slow. I cross the numbers usually around probably 45 to 40 knots and 38 if it's a non-windy day. And the second those wheels kiss the ground, it's full back, to your chest and locking that tail wheel in.
Is the tail wheel a free full caster, or does it lock in to give you some stability there?
It's free castering.
Free castering.
Yeah.
So you are dancing
It's
on the
spicy.
rudder.
Yeah, it's spicy. And crosswinds, just like any light aircraft, crosswinds is your biggest concern in this aircraft. About 12 knots is kind of your upward limits for somebody that has, just some moderate time in it. I think the maximum that I've gotten up to is probably 16 to 17 knots cross, somewhere in that neighborhood, but I would not recommend it. It's a fun day getting it on the ground, but it's meant to be just a fun flying thing.
All right, so let's talk about, if I wanted to order one of these, what is the price point and the procedure for getting it?
Yeah, so www.rtaviationllc.com is the website that we operate under. All of our order information is on there. You can email sales@rtaviationllc.com. The price point on one of these, if you just want to get a raw kit with no engine, no tires, no interior, no avionics, it's probably going to run you around $45,000 or $50,000. And then if you want to start kicking in some options and you want to get everything you need for a bare bones VFR only, probably about $110,000 would probably get a kit here delivered with everything that's engine, everything all included. So they're pretty economic for you to buy a kit and get one in. Again, it's like 350 to 400 hours. Mileage does vary whenever somebody has time, but you can get this thing done pretty quickly. And yeah, it's a pretty inexpensive airplane to get started off on. If you're looking to get into something that's a pretty easy build, this is one that you would want to use. I've built things with like RVs and things like that, and their skill set is much higher than this. This is,
more of an assembly.
Yeah, this is more of an assembly. It's a giant Lego, basically.
And in closing, kind of just to introduce everybody to your company, RT Aviation, what all do you all do here?
Yeah, so I'm Robert Harris. I'm the LSRM and one of the co-owners.
I'm Todd Livingston. I'm a co-owner. I pretty much handle sales and marketing.
I'm Ron Gavin. I am on the financial side and dealing with our CFIs. We have training in the Aeropilot.
Awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate the tour of yet another fine aircraft you're offering here in the United States, and look forward to seeing your company grow and what other things that you find to bring to aviation.
Good deal. Thank you.
That sounds sweet. And thank you to our team over on Patreon for helping to make this channel possible. And shout out to our co-pilot status patrons, Zach Newsom and Mike Babcock. To you watching, consider supporting us over on patreon.com.